Hello, and welcome to the Winning Marriages podcast, where we will be sharing scripture and spirit led solutions to real world scenarios faced by couples in a Christian marriage.
Real couples serving a real God.
Welcome back, everybody. I am Phil, and I'm here with my wife.
And I am Justine, and I'm here with my husband.
And we are going to be doing our review a little bit on episode 2. But we
Episode 2? What?
I meant chapter 2. You guys know what I meant. Anyways, just a little heads up for everybody. We are doing this on Sunday night instead of Saturday night. So,
and it's super late. It's 10:17 for us right now, p.m. So we don't have Emery because she is asleep. They're all asleep. All 3 of our kids are asleep. We decided to wait until all of them went to bed this time because then we wouldn't have all the interruptions. But now it's super late.
Yeah, whoop whoop. We made it.
So hopefully we will be focused enough to get out our content and our thoughts. So bear with us. We're also navigating quite a few challenges, which I'm really not surprised about.
Oh, yeah.
There's several challenges right now going on. Phil and I are really trying to press forward right now to just, I guess, grow our spiritual maturity. And just as it was said today, our minister call this morning at church was Minister Derek Williams was teaching, and he was talking about endurance. And so I'm just really feeling that thing of like, this is part of our endurance factor of working for the Lord. It's like how much effort I'm putting into any other job I do. Like I should be putting in just even more, to serving God. And then I think about, we work for our bosses, right? And we have these authority figures over us that are having all these expectations about what we're supposed to do. And the beautiful thing about serving God is he's sort of like in that kind of position in a sense, but there is no expectation over us. It's just this love that he has for us. Then it's the desire that we then have in return to just want to glorify him and want to serve him. And it's just this desire, that was just on my heart right now. I was really feeling that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's been a challenging week.
Super challenging.
Yeah, we've had everything in the book thrown at us that could be thrown at us, and I'm sure you guys hear me fumbling around because literally before we were going to record this yesterday, this mic stand that we normally have on our desk even decided to break.
Literally snapped off.
Just clean snapped off in my hand. I was like, what is this?
And the whole reason that even happened was because Phil was readjusting our whole setup.
Yeah.
Due to another challenge, we literally have our backs turned to each other right now.
Yeah.
Because we are navigating.
Well, because I've been quarantined. Yeah. Because I've been sick, and I haven't wanted to get the kids sick. Because I finally got it.
Yes.
It finally caught up to me.
Right. So Phil's been quarantined, which, as you all know, too, with that process, I'm sure people know, but that has been, I think, our biggest challenge here in this season right now, because it's been, I guess, a week and a half at this point where Phil has literally been quarantined away from the kids. It's been so hard on our family in general because it's weighing on Phil, obviously, and his feelings, and just navigating not being able to touch his family. That's really challenging. And then also the weight of everything household has been
on you,
kind of on my shoulders, which is not the design, right? My shoulders are not as broad as Phil's. I cannot hold this much. I can't. So I have really I'm sore. So
yeah, so it's
been hard.
It's kind of ironic too, because Chapter 2 is called Romanticism's Ruse.
It is so in good timing.
Yeah, and it's funny because I have not been able to really come in contact or get close to anyone. Like, I've been just maintaining distance from everybody. Like, I seem standoffish because I'm just not trying to go near people. Like, even when our neighbor came up to thank me for something today, I was like, whoa, 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 hold up. I know we're outside, but you can't come any closer. And it's like, obviously, if I can't get close to anybody, we have not been romantic.
No.
So, it
you can only get so romantic through a text message or a phone call or...
Oh, and it hit me when I was reading...
a look across the room.
I was reading the scripture, and I read the whole thing. We'll probably read the whole thing. But, yeah, I was reading Corinthians 7, and I was like, oh, the temptation is real. I've never felt it so much, except for when I'm in this position. It is crazy. But...
I can pray real quick if you want, and then we can jump in.
Yeah, if you want to pray, and then we'll just go into scripture since I referenced it.
Sure thing. Father God, we come to you tonight for just the ability to glorify you and give you all the praise. And we really just come to you for you to know that we just absolutely admire you, adore you. We are here for you, and that is just from our hearts. And we also want to thank you for keeping Phil steadily healthy through this illness. And I say that because he was able to overcome, so we thank you for that. And we don't take that for granted. We thank you for covering myself and the children through this time. We thank you for covering our household. In the meantime, you've been in the midst when Phil has been down, and so thank you for being my outreach and my strength and my provider in the meantime, and forever and always. And we just pray tonight that through this conversation, again, there's revelation, there's growth, there's just aha moments for everybody. There's nuggets to be heard and applied. So we are grateful for this time, and we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. So yeah, since I was saying it, oh wait, that's not the right tab. All right. Yep. I'm learning how to use a laptop for the first time. So since we were talking about the scripture, Gary Thomas references in chapter 2 about
of sacred marriage. I forgot to mention this for those if you're not sure what's going on. Let me just do a little thing. We Phil and I have been going through like this marriage maintenance mission where we're having a book study. So we've been studying together. It's been awesome. So our episodes are just themed towards kind of our insight and conversation that we've been having about the chapters thus far. So this past week we studied chapter 2 of that book, as Phil mentioned the title of it and the theme of it. All right, take it away.
Okay, and just as a technical note, since we are not able to do the same cues, however far you just were from the mic is how I'd like you to stay. And then, yeah, going into the scripture that Gary Thomas references in chapter 2 of Sacred Marriage is 1 Corinthians 7. And he's talking about the Paul letter to the people of Corinth. And in that, it starts out, I'm just going to read the whole thing, so bear with me, everybody. Mm-hmm. If you're able to focus, this is the word of the Lord. So 1 Corinthians 7 is, now for the matters you wrote about, it is good for a man not to have sexual relations with a woman, but since sexual immorality is occurring, Each man should have sexual relations with his own wife, and each woman with her own husband. The husband should fulfill his marital duty to his wife, and likewise the wife to her husband. The wife does not have authority over her own body, but yields it to her husband. In the same way, the husband does not have authority over his body, but yields it to his wife. Do not deprive each other, except perhaps by mutual consent and for a time, so that you may devote yourselves to prayer. Then come together again, so that Satan will not tempt you because of your lack of self-control. I say this as a concession, not a command. I wish that all of you were as I am, but each of you has your own gift from God. One has this gift, another has that. Now, to the unmarried and the widows, I say it is good for each to stay unmarried as I do. But if they cannot control themselves, they should marry, for it is better to marry than to burn with passion.
Are you okay?
Yeah, sorry, I just got a little chill. To the married, I give this command, not I, but the Lord, is in parentheses. A wife must not separate from her husband, but if she does, she must remain unmarried, or else be reconciled to her husband, and a husband must not divorce his wife. To the rest I say that I, not the Lord, if any brother has a wife who is not a believer, and she is willing to live with him, he must not divorce her. And if a woman has a husband who is not a believer, and he is willing to live with her, she must not divorce him. For the unbelieving husband has been sanctified through his wife, and the unbelieving wife has been sanctified through her believing husband. Otherwise, your children would be unclean, and as it is, they are holy. But if the unbeliever leaves, let it be so. The brother or sister is not bound in such circumstances. God has called us to live in peace. How do you know, wife, whether you will save your husband? Or how do you know, husband, whether you will save your wife? So, in that is pretty much saying, and what the book was saying about that is, romance was viewed early on in the Christian faith as a weakness, and
Like kind of like distraction in a sense.
as a distraction, yeah. And it was a belief, because people who were married didn't practice celibacy, that they were second-class Christians, is, quote, what some people have said, and how Gary Thomas describes it in the chapter. And honestly, Gary Thomas is on the way that we're thinking. He's saying, yeah, that's not true, because I don't know if you've ever been married before, but there's no ministry that is closer to the teachings of Christ than marriage. And we have said that before, how marriage is a ministry, and it is definitely true. And we went over that in the last episode, kind of how there's ways that you can say that being married brings you closer to the person who Jesus is, even though we're not celibate the way Jesus was. So in that, it's kind of strange, because Gary Thomas then goes into speaking about how in Judaism, the Hebrews were very fond of marriage, and they actually treated it as a duty for a man. Like, a man was not truly a man until he was married, because of the challenges that it brings and the closeness that it brings in pleasing God, because you have the holy joining that you see back in Genesis, when God said it is not good for a man to be alone. In Genesis 2, when he's talking about why it was so important for a man to cleave from his mother and father and join unto his wife, and they become one flesh. The Hebrews took that and that was a basis of manhood and culture. And then obviously raising children all throughout the Old Testament, children and sons especially are pivotal to the early on Judaism. So there's these conflicting things, and in that it's kind of, this letter is kind of to people, since it's to the people of Corinth, who are obviously not Jews that he's writing this to, because I'm sure the letter in Hebrews is different. I don't know off the top of my head, but it's a different culture. So it's pretty much saying like, hey, I know you guys don't have the same Jewish background that a lot of Jesus's followers in the beginning did, but just know this is where he was, this is what he did, this is what we want to be like. So if you're not married, be this way, and if you are married, it's okay. You're not gonna burn in hell because you can't keep it in your pants, but just know that if you follow the laws of marriage under what God says, that you're safe. So me and Justine were conflicted about this letter that Paul wrote, because it doesn't really match and it doesn't fit. A lot of it does, because sexual immorality is sadly, guys, it's the normal now. Like it's not a secret. The world is doing some very dirty things and some very crazy things, and sexual ambiguity and promiscuity and all kinds of things are just running rampant right now. It's like Sodom and Gomorrah out here. But that doesn't affect the call that we have, because there's very noble people who take the vow of celibacy and they go into the priesthood or the sisterhood, and I'm not saying that they aren't like Christ because they're not married and they don't have the same level of patience and understanding and all that, because they study and they do what they feel brings them closest to God. But for those who do not have that call, like most of us don't, that's just not our gift. Our gift is to not be in that way with God. So if you're not called to be in that way with God, then in order to avoid sin or unnecessary celibacy, then we're called to be married and to allow our marriages to bring us closer to Christ, and to shine the light of who Christ is to other people who are like us. So that's my very long-winded explanation. And
of
kind
that piece of it,
and just summing up that specific piece, because that was like half of the second chapter, if I'm not mistaken, babe.
It was a pretty good amount of it. But thank you for sharing that part of it. And it was why earlier we were saying how
because I wanted to read poetry.
Yeah, we did.
I wanted
to be romantic.
Well, because I can still reference it. So before she starts going, if you want to read a romantic poem in the Bible from one of my favorite Bible authors, it is a dialogue between Solomon and his wife, and for some reason others. I kind of want to read into it and see who these others are, but it's like a little love poem dialogue between Solomon and his bride. And I was gonna get all romantic with it, and Justine said,
well, how about you save it for our intimate time?
because it's not like that. It's saucy for the Bible, but I'll do it if that's what you want. Yeah, your eyes are.
I meant like our prayer time.
Oh, okay. I was gonna just start going in on you and be like, your eyes are like doves.
Okay, let's focus.
Okay. Songs 1. Go ahead, fellas. Song's 1.
Are you actually reading this right now?
No, I'm not. I'm just telling
Oh, okay.
all the
I was
guys.
like, please don't. Not right now. Cause
Telling all the guys if
it's
they
going a different direction.
All right. Well, that knocks a lot of the notes off, though. Now I gotta go back.
No, you can. Whatever you want to share is fine. I just...
No, I mean like reading Corinthians, because that really was a large piece of chapter 2, and yeah, I don't necessarily agree with Paul. I'm just gonna say it. I don't.
Well, I think it's hard because we say it. It's hard because the context is different and the time is different, and so we had to just remember like time and place matters when we're looking and reading, and then things do change over time and transition with new insight, new learnings, and as we know, other people with conversations with like have had knowledge and wisdom that has been given to them by God. So I think it's just looking at it in the perspective of like when and where and time of it, but kind of getting away from that a little bit. I wanted to just kind of more go into like our conversation. So that was a good recap of the chapter, but what Phil and I have really been trying to do is like take the knowledge of it, but having then a conversation together about our insights. And then it's so cool because then things blossom from there for us. So really the point of this book study was not for us to recap the chapters for you guys, but it's really to share then what happened then when we talked about it. Like what happened? Like what did we end up learning from it? And I just think it's cool to share that out and shine light on, maybe what God revealed to us through hearing some of these things. So that's kind of what I wanted to share. And one of those things we had talked about was that there's definitely a difference between a mature love and this idea of like romanticism. And we were saying, even in a young marriage of ours, like going on 6 years, I think whether you're married like 6 years like us or 25 years or more, we definitely can relate and know that like that whole honeymoon phase and that time of like being really romantic with each other, there's seasons and times for that. But really mature love, it really has to be able to be elastic. It has to be able to stretch over challenges, over certain times of the marriage, over certain years. There has to be elasticity to it, and in order to make your marriage that way, we kind of have to understand that the main goal of it is actually to get closer to God and actually be able to face certain character issues that we have, to be like more like Christ. Because if we were just by ourselves, I mean, honestly, I really would never have to deal with anything that's that much of a character flaw of my own. First of all, I wouldn't notice it because no one would be pointing it out. Just kidding. I mean, you're pointing it out in a good way, but you know what I mean? Like, if you're just by your, I'm not knocking anybody by themselves, but I'm just saying what marriage does for me is that it has made me deal with character issues because there's more conflict and interaction. Conflict doesn't have to be a bad thing. Conflict is like going against something. That doesn't mean it's something bad. Like the whole iron sharpens iron. Like I might be going against you, conflicting with you, but that's because there's something rough right there that I need to file down. Like that shouldn't be there. Or like I shouldn't be talking that way or acting like that.
Yeah, stop that.
But you know what I mean? So
I know what you mean.
But
I know exactly what you mean.
It kind of goes with the theme of what all right, you're doing too much. It goes with the theme though of the whole idea that of what you were saying before is that marriage is actually in a sense a way for us to get closer to God,
Yeah.
Because we're both seeking him together. My biggest nugget from this whole thing was, it was actually at the end. It caused this big revelation for me. I don't know what it did for you, but when he was talking about how, I say he, I talk about Gary Thomas, the author, but he pointed out at the end that our relationship with God is actually going to outlive our marriage.
Yeah, I have that written down. His words were that marriage is a penultimate reality, whereas our relationship and our place with God is an ultimate reality, which means that our penultimate marriage is going to die when the flesh dies, and our relationship with God never dies. It never ceases. But if that's, I don't agree with that either, because well, not that I don't agree with it, but I have a different viewpoint on that, because I do think that when I'm gone, unless it's sooner than God's letting me think it is, then I don't really see you getting remarried, because in the way I believe that this is going to go, you're not going to be young enough to where you're going to want to or need to. But I don't think that...
I just wouldn't want to. But that's a whole different topic.
Oh yeah, but I don't think that I'm going to stop being married to you when I die. I feel like I'll just be waiting for you to rejoin in this with me and God. You're just gonna have a lot to catch up on. But we'll have forever to do it. And I honestly, like, if I had to dream about it and think about it, I feel like you and I would come back together in heaven before God as our 13 and 14-year-old selves. And just the joy that we bring one another. I feel strongly that that's how I see us reaching heaven. I don't know if our physical bodies will be reanimated in heaven to be displayed that way, but like when I picture us in
like our soul
in a heavenly place, like that's the vision I get of the heavenly realm where we would dwell with God. And that's just where my viewpoint differs, because I view the relationship we have with God first and then our marriage second, but in my mind they're both ultimate realities. So like, maybe that's something that we can talk about with somebody or have a guest on that could shine some light on that. But I think it is an ultimate reality.
Yeah. Well, and so when I was thinking about that, though, it reminded me that that marriage shouldn't compete with God, but rather point to God. That was another point in the reading, but it made me think about the end, because I was realizing that a lot of times I think romanticism on that topic and everything, and like being able to do so much for your spouse and like wanting to like, put all the woos out there and like do all the things and make them feel great is so good, and it's very considerate, and the gestures are sweet and kind and beautiful, but it can oftentimes too, like I think it can appear like a little bit surface level of the depth to like marriage, because those things just don't always last the way that I'm just speaking from ours. It's like, of course, like it started off like that, but reality sets in and children arrive and focuses change, and but the beautiful thing about our journey specifically is I realized when we started pointing our marriage was pointing to God, and we started going into ministry and serving and putting him first in everything, I realized the depth of what that was doing for our marriage. I realized if you brought me flowers every single day for, I don't know, a whole year or something, I don't even feel like it would equate, or that feeling, it wouldn't go as deep or mean as much remotely to us, like,
Good to
studying
know.
and serving the Lord together.
Yeah, good to know.
But really, do you know what I'm saying? Do you hear what I mean?
I do. And yeah, because a large portion, the other part of the chapter was how it's called Romanticism's a ruse, but it's because he was speaking about the great poets and writers who made Romanticism what it is and made romance so mainstream. And
But it can be really like an unrealistic kind of expectation sometimes with marriage.
yeah, and he points out that marital romance is a fairly new concept.
Yeah.
Which, in the stretch of human history, it's such a small blip that it's entirely true. Because marriage was more duty until the last 200 years. And like, romance just completely took over with all the fairy tales and the love stories. And, I mean, it's not saying that, like, oh, romance is sinful. If you're just in it for the romance, then you're going to hell. No, that's not it. But romance is not the basis. It's not the foundation of a marriage, because feelings and emotions just drive passion. And it's not always grounded in truth. And then if it's not grounded in truth, then it doesn't hold weight in the court of the heavenly realms, because we know who truth is and where truth comes from. So, in that, if Christ is saying that we should be a certain way in our marriage, then that's the only way to achieve a balance. And if we can find romance and intimacy in that balance, then that's what it is. It shouldn't be
And that's a way to preserve it.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a cornerstone of your marriage. It should just be an accent that makes your marriage better.
Yeah.
And
for
at
sure.
times more tolerable.
Right.
Because let's be honest.
Right. But you can't really build on romance. It's sort of just, it's going to evaporate. So, a little bit.
Yeah, and if it's based on passion, then passion is like crashing waves on a beach. So romance to your marriage are waves crashing on your heart's beach. And in the sense of passion, we know that if our blips of romance in our relationship are just like little waves that, like, they make the sound and they move the sand and do all that, but that's all they are. They roll in and they roll out. They roll in and they roll out. So you can't build a lasting water ecosystem on a wave that rolls in and rolls out.
Yeah.
But the passion in which we get for God, and if God is the center of our relationship, the passion that God will stir up in you is a landscape-changing tsunami. Like, that is going to bring fish inland. That is an ecosystem creator that will actually change the entire perspective on your heart's shore. It might even push it even deeper. Like, that's where you find deeper levels of love, is through God.
Yeah.
That ocean will come more and more inland if that spiritual tsunami comes from God and crashes on your heart like that.
Yeah. Well, that brings us to, like, the big point, and that's talking about fulfillment and what brings true fulfillment. Because a lot of times we put way too much bank on our spouse fulfilling our needs, our wants, our desires, our passions, our love. And I'm sorry to say it, this is going to sound really harsh and blunt, but our spouse is not going to be the one that can do that all the way.
Well, your spouse is not going to do that for you.
And so, no, they will, but just not all the way and not fully. But they definitely can and will and do. But I'm just saying, God is...
Not the way God's going to.
Well, that's what I'm saying. God is our fulfillment. So when our marriage is pointing to God, it's key, because God is actually the source of who is going to be able to fulfill you truly. Christ is our fulfillment. I love Phil with all of my heart. And
I feel that there's supposed to be a but there.
No. And I would go to him if I had any kind of challenge, right? Like if my car broke down, I would call Phil, because I need help. If I needed something, I call Phil.
I'm not gonna lie to you, babe. I would do anything to help you, but that's just irresponsible, because you have OnStar or whatever that thing is.
Okay.
And they will get to you much faster.
Man, you just pick apart my examples too much.
I'm just saying that's irresponsible. But yeah.
But at the end of the
Go
day,
ahead.
I have to say though, it's no weapon is going to prosper that is formed against us because
Oh yeah.
of God. He is our protector. He's our shield, our protection. So at the end of the day, though, Phil would be, who I would call. He's not who I would necessarily call on for that, spiritual covering and protection that I need, because he's not able to do that. There's comfort, there's all those things. But God is who I'm going to be going to in prayer, in worship, because...
Well, within the home, you're under my covering.
Right.
And in your heart, you're under my covering. But my covering comes from God.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
If I'm not around, God is.
Right. And then when you are around, I know that I can go to you for that covering, and I feel safe and protected. But this is I'm speaking, this is my experience, but I'm feeling that safety and protection from you because I know that you're plugged in to God. So I know that you're going to protect my heart, be kind to me, not harmful, and all the things, because I know who you're taking after. I know who you're basically, who your character, you're trying to embrace, Jesus. You're walking that way. You're on that walk with me. So my protection comes from everything I just said points to God. If you don't notice that, basically we're just putting God at the center of this whole thing and saying thank you, because that's pretty much the point here, is no matter what angle you go at, whether I go to Phil or I go to God, I go to Phil, he's going to God. So it's in all directions. Yeah, that's where we're going. So
I'm just going to point you towards God. Be
pointing.
I don't know. I just work here.
Right. That way. Arrow says that way.
Yeah, that way.
Because that's what happens sometimes. I'll go to Phil and say, point up. You know what I mean? So it's we have to both do that for each other. And that's, I think, the biggest, best, most, beautiful thing about marriage, honestly. It's not the flowers. It's not the person to come home to every day. I mean, I love all that too. But it's the fact that we are both pointing each other to God during challenging times, during hardships, during good times. But that's probably the best thing about it.
And that points to two of my notes, actually, because I was soaking that in, and what I was getting from what we were taking notes on from the chapter is I was just saying how, like, it's too often that we view marriage as a display of love and only of love, and it's romance.
Yeah.
It's the
movies
final,
are like that and everything.
the final call to romance. Like, this is it. This is your freedom. You can procreate. You can love all of your spouse for who they are. And, like, that sounds awesome. But are you really ready to love all of your spouse for who they are? Because if you're still floating on that cloud 9 honeymoon phase, honey, you don't know. You don't know who your spouse is yet. Because you haven't seen those dark times yet.
Well, and some storms, yeah, like having.
And like, so like if we're just looking at it like that, let's not get caught up. You don't need that much sugar. Because it is not always going to be so sweet. It's sometimes going to be hard. And that is where we need God the most. Because we're going to feel like we're not being fulfilled by our spouse.
Right.
And that's where people start cheating and start
being like, oh, this isn't working.
Yeah,
for
they start
me.
Drinking more or start finding.
Going to other things.
Yeah, start finding other ways, like, or pornography, whatever. Like, they start finding other means of fulfillment because they're like, well.
But it's not our spouse's job, right, to fulfill us.
I'm not getting enough from Justine to fulfill me. She's not meeting all my needs. Right. But this bottle can or this model can or the things me and my buddies go do brings me releases of joy. Like, that's the opposite of what we're trying to do. Like, that is you just keeping a surface level happiness.
Yeah.
You're just provoking demons to enter your life because you want to preserve a level of happiness. But that happiness exists in the deeper sense of itself, which is joy. And so marriage is not just to be a display of all things romantic love, but sometimes it's an arduous journey to joy.
Yeah.
But it's still a journey to joy.
That's good.
It's not joy itself all the time.
Yeah.
It is a journey towards joy.
Oh, yeah.
And the main source of that joy is Jesus. So, like, if your marriage is pointed to Jesus, you are headed for joy.
Yeah.
Joy will come. Joy comes in the morning.
Yeah.
The troubles may last for a night, but joy comes in the morning.
Yes.
If you have Jesus at the center of your marriage, there's not a problem that you're going to go through that's going to lead you to divorce. And if you do get divorced, like what Paul was saying in that letter, that's not the end of your life. You are not fallen from God. He does not view you any differently. But let's take this. I almost sounded like Mr. Williams. I was about to be like, let's take this, good people.
Yes, good people.
Because I'm feeling it. I'm still feeling. Now I'm feeling hyped back up like I was on Sunday school this morning. But like, good people. Yes. If you get divorced, that is not the end for you. It doesn't mean, oh well, I guess I need to just go be celibate now. If this marriage didn't work out, God was just telling me that I just don't have the stuff that it takes because I couldn't love this person through the abuse and the terrible things they did, so I'm not enough like Jesus. No, that is not true. You are safe. You are happy now. You are loved, and you will be loved again by another person. But you've never stopped being loved by God. And if your first marriage doesn't work out and you get divorced, then now you just know. You've just written yourself a script as to how not to get tricked again. Like old George W. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, you can't get fooled again. God's not going to let you get fooled again. God didn't want you to be fooled or be hurt the first time. But the expectations and the worldly things that might have happened during someone's first marriage just are the things and expectations that you know not to bring into your second. Now we know Jesus is the center. If we focus Jesus, that second marriage is going to be good. And then our first marriages, when we're starting to feel ourselves slip, we're starting to feel like things aren't going right. I need fulfillment. My wife's not fulfilling me. My husband's not fulfilling me. She just doesn't put out or meet my needs. Like, I come home and there's not dinner cooked. And this isn't what I signed up for. Hold up. Pump the brakes. Listen here. You will eat. You will find release for your sexual urges. But if it does not happen in your timing, you are the one that is going to create the problem. Because it's not about your timing. Your timing is nothing. It's about God's timing. It's about putting Jesus in the center. How do you know that if you don't sit down and pray with your wife, like me and Justine have been praying together? I'm going to be honest with you, good people. It brought us romance. We kind of like were beating around the bush when we were talking about that, but one night we prayed together and we felt so close that we just wanted to get closer even in the flesh. And it happens. There's a level of intimacy that Jesus will bring to you and your spouse that's just unmatched.
Yes.
It's unrivaled. There is nothing like it. That is spiritual ecstasy.
Yes.
It is so necessary. That is a much longer soapbox than I intended to jump on.
I didn't know when I was supposed to go into that, but
I'm sorry, I was going in.
yeah, I don't know where to circle to or where to go from here, but
I'm so sorry.
I mean, you don't have to apologize. I just don't know what I'm supposed to say now.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Right. I don't know what to do.
Well,
Seriously, I don't. But anyway, that was good stuff. I think it was a lot.
Where did we start running from?
Well,
I forget.
I mean, I was talking about fulfillment. So I think it just...
Oh, yeah. And
we
then I
do want to make sure that our focus is in the right place, because at the end of the day, you will be disappointed if you are expecting your spouse to meet all of your needs or fulfill you, because we are all humans, and we can't be that for the person. And I think this is from my own experience. Sometimes I feel like I get a little bit down at myself for that. Like, there's times where I feel a little inadequate or maybe not good enough. You know, I think these are just some like normal human emotions that it's not anything you're doing or anything. It's just like a personal thing of like, I'm like, man, I could have done more. You know, I'm talking like a mom standpoint too. Like, you feel maybe bad about, you could have said it this way or done it this way, or I could have, whatever. Sometimes we just feel like we just didn't meet the mark that day. You know what I mean? Everybody's felt like that.
Oh, yeah.
But I've felt like that before as a wife too, but not because of anything you've said or anything. It just is a natural feeling at times. But it's remembering as a wife that it's okay if we did not fulfill our husbands, because it's not fully our job. And I just want to speak to wives. It's in my spirit about that, because as I said, we can't do it all. We can't be it all for him. So as the husband, I'll speak a little bit to husbands out there, but you need to know where to get your fulfillment from truly, because also the flip side to that is not having the disappointment, as Phil was saying, of like, she's not doing this or she's not doing that, or I don't feel like I'm fulfilled. It may be like, where is your focus then, you know? And so I'm just trying to say, for like a wife, is like remembering that for us too is our husbands can't meet all of our needs and stuff too, and we have to go to God to get our full fulfillment. So just on both sides, it's like not putting too much pressure and expectation on each other, to fulfill it, because it's not always going to happen. Like, would I need Phil to say something to me and I'm feeling emotional about something and he's not like giving me what I need emotionally in that moment? You know what I mean? It happens to everybody. What happens? We normally get in a fight, right? That will cause a fight because I'm like, oh, you can't just talk to me right now, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? And I'm not getting fulfilled when I could have just gone to a safe, quiet place and had an intimate moment with God, and I would have been fulfilled. Or like it doesn't always have to be somebody. You don't always have to call somebody. It doesn't always have to be your husband. And it's taken me a lot. It sounds so simple, but it's taken me a lot of discipline to learn that, because I didn't grow up with a relationship with God at all. So I just didn't have that. Like, I just didn't. It just didn't exist.
So you treat him like a friend of a friend. Like, you don't hang out with that friend unless you're friend of that friend that you met him through is present.
Or there's like an emergency and I need some help ASAP. Like, it's like it wasn't
like, hey, God, I was going to call Phil first, but I really just needed to get directly in touch with you right now. It's but he's your friend too. He's your God.
Right. So, like, for me, though, what I'm saying is it's taken a lot of discipline, and it's taken a lot of growing my relationship with God to do that, because I feel like I would go to Phil a lot for my needs and to get fulfilled. I would go to him expecting him to be able to fix my problems and help me, because we can go all day about that. I would call on him for so much, not knowing, Emery just woke up.
Oh, no.
Oh, did you guys hear that? She's crying.
Sorry, guys. I had to pause it because she was crying. That was very loud.
Oh.
Lost her passy.
She lost her passy.
That was sad to hear.
She found it.
Yeah, I cut out the screams just so you guys wouldn't have to feel the sadness in the moment that we just felt. But
I'm so glad she's starting to do so much better with, like...
She's awesome. She found it. She soothed herself.
Yeah.
Back to sleep.
She's happy.
She's a champ.
She's really good.
Little M's.
But, okay, I can sum up what I thought was... Basically, we can't really love our spouse the same way God does, right? So, I love Phil so much, and I know he loves me so much, but the love that God provides is just this sheer, like, grace, unbelievably, like...
It's that tsunami.
I can try to give Phil grace, and I do sometimes. I don't sometimes. I try my best. I can be considerate to Phil. I can try my best, right? I do it great some days. Some days I'm terrible because I'm in a bad mood, straight up. Like, I can't do it. Like, I'm not like Christ. So some days I'm just ticked off. I'm irritated. I didn't eat enough, whatever. Didn't get 2 cups of coffee, so don't talk to me right now, right? That's just not like Christ at all. So, like, but I'm a human.
She'll be like, your kids are the reason why I'm going to be like this today. Like, this is your son's fault. If you think that I'm being mean, it's your son. I'm like, what did I
can't wait to...
So that's what he did. What did I do?
Right, you said that even today. You were like, but I didn't do anything. And I was like, just don't talk to me.
Don't talk to me. But I didn't say anything. Don't talk to me.
But that's right.
Whoa.
Because, I mean, this is real people serving a real God. But that's because...
You kids need to stop. I just came up here to get a string cheese. Y'all got me getting reamed out for whatever you did. You did this to me. And I made you, so I did this to me.
Anyhow.
Tone it down.
So, this all makes sense, I'm sure, to people, that we can love our spouse, but we can't love them the way God does. So we can only try our best, but we're gonna fall short. There's days we come up real short, and then there's days that we just overflow and we give them so much of what they need. And the beauty of this whole thing, like I said, is I think in serving God together, that's where you find true fulfillment. Because I was telling Phil this is just my experience, but I said I feel so much more secure and loved by Phil, knowing that he's going to sit and pray with me at the end of the day, or that he went and made 3 good decisions versus 3 bad decisions that day, or he fought that day against temptation. All of these things that he battles with behind the scenes of what I can actually see, those things mean so much more to me because of his relationship with God. I want that to be over me. I want that to be over me because that's the only thing that's keeping our marriage together, is that we put God above each other. That's the only reason why we're working this well together, is because we put God over each other. It has to be that way, or else Phil wouldn't fight temptation the way he does, or I wouldn't fight the urge to get mad so much, but you know what I mean? Like,
I mean,
it's the reason why is because of who we're, focused on, basically.
Because real talk, babe.
Yeah.
Real talk.
No, it's like,
really real.
I'm kidding. Just be censored, please.
Like super real.
No, just a little real is fine.
Super real. Got it. So, I don't even make good choices for you. I'm sorry. I don't.
Well, I mean...
But I know, just hold on.
No, be careful what you say, because you told me the other day you say things and then you realize you say them wrong, so I'm just warning.
Because I thought about this. And I'm saying it the way I intend to.
Okay.
I don't solely make the choices that I make for you.
See, that word makes a lot of difference.
I make the choices that I make with you in mind.
See, that's better.
But it's because of who God is.
Right.
That I make the choices that I make. Because, like...
Yes. And it should be that way.
And because who I want to be in Him.
Yes.
Because, like, as far as, like, just real talk, I don't drink anymore. Because I'm irresponsible. And I know I can't. No offense to anybody who does. I'm not saying that I'm better than you.
It's just...
I'm just better off than who I was.
Yes.
And it's just my experience. Do I do that for you, even though the consequences of some of my drinking before hurt you? But is it because I have the capacity to hurt you or have hurt you why I stop? No. Nope. Because there's no earthly desire or wanting to please you or thing of the flesh that makes sense as to why I would stop doing something that is normal. But God has told me what I need to do and what God is asking me to do and who God is asking me to be for you and myself is not in alignment with me doing that. So I stopped.
Yeah.
As far as like pornography and things like that, I mean, it's wrong. It's wrong. We know that. We can all fool ourselves as much as we want to. But if it's not something that you're willing to do out in public, and it's something that is that private, but it's something that you feel any tinge of ashamed about, or you don't talk about openly, then that means a small part of you doesn't think it's right.
Yeah, so it's about having the discernment to, like, know what is right and what isn't, and wanting to operate.
Yeah, so if you know it's not right.
And what is. Mm-hmm.
And some people do it solely because of the fact that they know their spouse wouldn't like it. Well, that's a lie, because those people do it, they just don't tell their spouse about it. Whereas, I don't do it because... One, I don't feel like hiding it from my spouse, because that's just another thing I gotta worry about. I've already hid things and felt stupid about plenty of other things. I just don't need that extra thing on my heart and my plate right now. It's just maybe I'm too lazy to watch pornography. But that's not really it. What it really is that
What is this episode?
I feel like God is watching. So I make a better decision not to do it because I know God is watching. And in that, my desire to please God trickled down blessings, Justine, because I don't dishonor her. Mm-hmm. Because I'm seeking to do things that are God honoring. Yeah. I don't bring dishonor on my wife.
Yeah.
But it's not for her honor solely. It's for the honor of God. But it just so happens to be aligned with what would bring her honor and preserve her joy. So it's like that pursuit of God will have you being a better husband without having you really do anything that seems like is making you a better husband.
Yeah.
But it'll feel that way. And I'm sure there's things that wives could also say, but I'm just saying that in those male examples, there's God honoring mentalities that intertwine with the way that you become a better spouse to your spouse.
Yeah, like becoming a better spouse, like ultimately is making you a better person and being able to glorify God more. So it's just like more of a chance to be able to do that. Yeah, because there's like two kind of pivotal points in these things, like when we're talking about our sin and things, is that there's first the acknowledgement of what it is, and calling it what it is, because a lot of times, and that's what the trick of the enemy has been in the world, is that in our culture now is sin is disguised now, so much so to where we first have to unravel and know that it is. Like, I guess, I don't know how to really put it, but what I'm trying to say is like some of the things that we may need deliverance on or need God to heal us through, we can't even get to a point of healing or deliverance or repentance until we are even at the point that our own understanding acknowledges it's a problem or a sin for us. So we're fighting so much in the world. I mean, this went on a whole different topic now, but it really does go back to the root of like who we're focused on now. So it's kind of the same thing.
But it applies to
it does.
We can bring it back to romance.
I mean, it doesn't matter where we have to go. This matters. So it's just saying that there's 2 points. It's first acknowledging, being able to decipher, basically having discernment on that. But then it's like from there, then you still have this super long journey to go through to heal from that thing. Like, yeah. So you brought up, the drinking. I'll just kind of play off that a little bit. But it's like first, it's the whole aspect of like acknowledging first it's a problem, right? And that it's not really reaping good benefit for me or positively embracing, like it's not doing good for me.
It makes me too much fun.
Okay, yeah. And, you first have to acknowledge that part. And then once you finally get there, right, which took you like a little bit, but then then it's the growing from that point. And that's almost where the hard work starts.
Yeah.
So it is such a process. So like, it doesn't mean, you're going to slip up and now I should just keep doing it because I'm just never going to get this right, kind of thing. Like,
serving God's a daily grind.
Right. Like, encourage people. Like, the walk might take a super long time. Like, some people can run a mile in 10 minutes. Some people can run it in 6. I probably can run it in like 15. I'm terrible at running. So it's just everybody's journey is different. So it always starts with just getting right with God. Like, getting your relationship intact, because the stronger your relationship is with God, the more you're going to want to better yourself for him, the more you're going to seek him and just get consumed by wanting to glorify him. Like, so it starts with relationship, because once that's there and you know why you want to do it, your why is intact, then the walk starts to get a little easier.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, and just bringing it back to kind of what the episode was originally centered around, I think we should call it fulfillment.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. Yeah, because really all these things...
Because that's all about fulfillment.
It really is, because a lot of people do, and I have, gone to other things for fulfillment, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, we're human, is in our nature.
I mean, yeah, we were talking about overcoming sin for the betterment of our spouse, but it's really just like learning how to stay away from sketchy sources of fulfillment.
True, yeah.
That are earthly.
Right.
Because, like, that was the one thing that, like, bringing it back to the book, is that Gary said that I felt in my spirit that I really could sympathize with, is he was saying that, like, he brought up the whole thing about holding hands with the girl in the 5th grade, riding around the roller skating rink to a Carpenter song and feeling on top of the world. And, like, I get that, because I felt that with you. But it's like, it's true, though, is for a young boy growing up in the church, and, like, I was prophesying and doing all this stuff, but it's like, the closer I was getting to girls, and the closer I wanted to get to you, it's like, in the closer that I wanted to be with you in the ways of the world, drew me away from a closeness that I had with God.
Yeah, true.
Because I felt like
you can't really have both.
Yeah, I felt like I couldn't serve two masters. I had to pick one or the other.
Right.
And I was like, well, God, you have me waking up and going to church early on Sundays, and, like, going to these crazy Christian conferences with my parents and doing all this stuff that, like, I don't really understand fully, or
reading the Bible, and
or wanna,
a lot of it's hard to understand when you're young.
Even want to do.
Yeah.
And, like, this girl is hot.
Okay.
And, like, I could be friends with her. And be friends with her.
Okay.
And then, so it was like I felt like I had to choose.
Yeah.
And
as a young boy, that's a really hard choice.
As a young boy, it was hard. And I feel like you won, but in a sense, God kind of won, because we came back around.
True. Thank you, God.
But it doesn't always work like that.
No.
And so, so the intimacy that we feel in pubescence with women kind of creates a divide between us and God, but really between, like, the pursuit of women and God, because it's like you can't pursue two things at once.
Yeah.
Unless they're at the same point. So it's like courtship would be the way that I could have pursued God and you at the same time. Is that how it worked? No. You didn't grow up in a Christian home, and my parents just didn't want me to hurt anybody or get locked up. So I was winning if I was hanging out with you. My parents really didn't care, because I wasn't going to get in trouble.
Right. Not in the same
Not too much trouble. Because yeah. Either way, poor choices aside, I felt like I couldn't serve two masters, and I feel like it's kind of, I know, like, it's out there that like women are put on display for intentional marketing purposes, and, like, it's designed to bring us in, guys. It's, as guys, I'm sorry, ladies, we are imperfect. I'm sorry, babe, I'm not actually perfect either. And it's like it's just like a flaw and a tactic of Satan to kind of put, like, women in front of us for the point of trying to draw more importance to them in our eyes than God. And in that, it's like there's, I think it's like Cleopatra and like Bathsheba, and like it even got David. Like Bathsheba even got David, whose heart was after God, like the heart on fire for God. This man wrote psalms to God, and he still fell victim to women, because I mean, he was a king, but still, like, women are not supposed to hold a place over God. God is supposed to equip us with the woman that is meant to bring us closer to him.
Yeah.
And like, we shouldn't worship our spouses, we should serve our spouses.
Yes.
So like, the moment that we start putting our spouses ahead of God, even for women, like, if your husband is telling you to do something you know is wrong in your heart, you don't have to listen to that man. You don't have to do it, because we are here to serve our spouses. But the moment that that service brings us out of the favor of God, you are being led out of God's favor, and that's not where you want to be. So you just want to make sure you stay in the favor of God, and he'll pour favor into you. Because I mean, we might not always agree with our spouses. There might be times when Justine's trying to tell me something, and I'm not going to get what she's trying to say. But I know in my heart that, like, Justine is coming at me sometimes in a place that's like, she's trying to tell me what God needs me to hear, but she's just not saying it in a way that I'm ready to receive. But then God will tell me the same exact thing that Justine is saying in a kinder and more understandable way for me.
Well, probably in a less judgmental way.
Yeah.
Because I'm not judging you on purpose, but it can be received as judgment when your spouse is saying it, because you're like, oh, great, I'm not meeting in their expectation again. Like, it can feel like that sometimes.
Yeah, so, yeah, because what I'm saying by that is, like, yeah, your spouse is not God. They're not supposed to be treated the same way God is. But sometimes God is using your spouse to get through to us.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And, like, it's hard to accept that. Because love is that way. I mean,
it's
just
fluid.
It just is.
It flows through.
It's not measured in all the times that we get along and, like, we communicate perfectly with each other. That's not how love is measured truly. Like, it's measured in the times that, like, we don't communicate well, but we still made it through. The message still was received.
That's mature love. That's what I was going to say. I was going to define that, because that's different.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, no, because that's good. Mature love, according to brides.com, so a nice, good little marriage site.
Oh, brides.
But according to brides.com, mature love refers to a healthy, secure, and stable relationship where both individuals, of course this thing is telling me to restart my computer. Sorry. Both individuals have
Remind me in 30 minutes.
That's not an option, sadly, so I'm just trying to let me start over. Mature love refers to a healthy, secure, and stable relationship where both individuals have a deep, emotionally intimate connection that doesn't waver regardless of circumstances, even when there's difficulty. You know, the two are still committed to one another. And so that really sums it up. Now, that whole emotionally intimate connection, I would really hone in on that, because whatever that emotional intimate connection is, that is what's creating the healthy, secure, and stable relationship.
Oh, that's understanding.
So if your emotional intimacy and connection is with God, then you are going to have the most healthy, secure, and stable relationship, because you have the most ultimate security and stability and just greatest thing keeping you together. So, anyway.
Oh, yeah, because this marriage thing, it's not about everybody being fulfilled all the time by their spouse, like we said. This is a team sport. And we got to be able to understand what that means and cherish what that is. Because, like, every player on the football field wants to score points. Everybody is trying to get from end zone to end zone. Not everybody's going to get into the end zone. But that's not the point. The point is that you get into the end zone or someone else does. So you just got to make that happen. If you got to block to get somebody into the end zone, like if I have to block to let Justine get the ball over that goal line and score the touchdown, it's not about pride in a marriage. If you have pride in a marriage, good luck. Because
it doesn't go good.
Yeah. Good luck. That's going to be tough. I want to talk to you.
It has been tough at times.
Yeah, because that pride hurts.
It's not fun.
That's a bitter pill. But the point is like, pride's going to keep you from getting there. Because if you want to do it so badly because you want to do it and not because you want to help the whole cause get to it, like the whole cause of our marriage is to honor God. If me and Justine both know that our goal, our end zone, is bringing God glory. If we're both in it for the glory of God, we understand that is the end goal, that is the end zone, then we are going to work together as a team to make that happen. Whether that is a sacrifice season for me or a sacrifice season for Justine, or maybe we're both sacrificing so that the kids can get what they need. It is what it is. It's going to have to happen because we know that we're making plays and we're making moves. We're making blocks. We're being team players for the glory of the Lord and not ourselves.
Yeah.
And as long as you keep that vision, then we're going to the same place and we can work together. That's how we follow plays. That's how we do it. This isn't a one-man show. This isn't, oh, I'm Phil, and I'm so close to God that I'm just going to carry the load for my family, and Justine's going to follow me because she's my wife, and that's her job. No, not at all. I am a human, fatally flawed by sin, because I was born that way. I am not Jesus Christ. I know Jesus Christ. I don't always bring honor to Jesus Christ, but my goal is to try. My wife's goal is to do the same. Mm-hmm. And our goal collectively is to help each other do that. And that's what brings fulfillment.
Yeah, it is. And quite frankly, even with the leaning in to the point of I even feel myself to feel a tad bit, like when I say I'm on fire for God, like almost in this like obsessive stance, even then I'm messing up. So it's like I just know that it takes a lot. It just takes a lot. Like you have to be extremely focused, and there's still gonna be times. Now I want to do something real quick, Phil, because this was really. Sorry, let me turn this monitor off really quick because it's making a noise. I want to define fulfillment, and I want you to just hear this.
Okay.
So, the first definition, this is from, what is this? I don't know where we are.
Is it Merriam-Webster?
Dictionary.com.
Oh.
I don't know. It's definitions, so
it's a dictionary.
It's a dictionary. Okay. So, fulfillment. The achievement of something desired, promised, or predicted. And then there's also the part that says fulfillment is then also a satisfaction or happiness as a result of fully developing one's abilities or character. Right. So.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad we read that at the end.
Right.
And that I didn't know that definition. That would have heavily influenced the things that I was saying, but good God, you are
right,
good.
You are good, right? Do you see that? Because I just looked at, I just looked that up, and then it made me realize, look at the example for that second one. She did not believe that marriage was the key to happiness and fulfillment. That's the example under it. But I know, but I'm thinking about that. So like when you say like, okay, fulfillment's the achievement of something, okay, of something desired, promised, or predicted.
Yeah.
So if so think about God's promise. There is already achievement. We think achievement, like this is winning. We're winning. So there's already
he won.
Is him winning. Like he's already won. So
yeah, he won, so we can win.
Right. It says the example under it is winning the championship was the fulfillment of a childhood dream. Right. So think about that in terms of us. Like winning the championship was a fulfillment of a childhood dream, but like this is not a dream. This is a promise. God has given us this promise. So it's already the promise has already happened. Like it's won already. So it's just like wow. And then when you talk about satisfaction or happiness as the result of fully developing one's ability or character, that tells me if you're fully developing the character, like we had talked about earlier, we get fulfillment by also operating and trying to be like Christ. Like we're trying to shape our character. We're trying to use each other essentially as a way to enhance our characters. It's just really telling when you think about that, like with fulfillment, and like kind of break it down that way is like we are going to be able to be happy and have satisfaction when we're developing our character in such a way because the promise has already been given to us.
Yeah.
And it's like that's like where it comes from. It comes from there. So
yeah, all good things come from Christ.
Yeah, and it's just like getting refocused on that. And then the other last little thing I wanted to talk about with fulfillment real quick, this can kind of be how we end if you want, but
yeah.
And I don't really know if this is right or not. This is just me talking, but about it like from my own just heart right now, but like I just feel like sometimes there's this expectation that like we need to be fulfilled all the time, like at all points. And it's like you can with God, but like there's sometimes like we have emotions for a reason, and like we go through challenges for a reason. Like we know God's putting us in a space where we need growth, or like there's just going to be things that just happen, and it's all about how our character is being developed and like how we're going to like respond to those things. So in a sense, like when we're always trying to like get fulfilled, it's really like we're always just trying to like to figure out how to navigate in a better way about something. It's not like what can be given to me to make me feel better, or like what can I get right now to like get me out of this mood, or what, you know what I mean? Like it's more about how am I gonna deal with this right now, and know that like how I'm gonna deal with this right now is a direct reflection on my growth and my maturity spiritually, like to like shape my response. And like so that's where like the fulfillment is coming from, is like God being able to be a source for us, and like Christ being able to be who we're leaning in towards to be like in order to get there.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the fulfillment. It's not a thing, it's not a vice. It's not anything but that. So, I don't know. Just something I was thinking about.
Well, yeah. Christ is fulfillment.
Yeah.
In our marriage, if you're pointed to Christ, you'll find fulfillment. Nobody's riding around on a full gas tank all the time.
Right. That's kind of like what I was saying.
You only got a full gas tank right after you get done filling up at the gas station. As soon as you put that thing in drive again and start going, guess what? It might not show it on the gauge, but it's not full anymore.
I was going to say, I can ride
go.
around when it says like 2 miles till empty. I can go like a long time.
Don't do that. Don't do that. All
what
right.
I'm saying is like, you can still ride when you're low. You don't have to like...
Okay.
you can still make it.
Alright.
You just have to be driving in the right direction. Like, I didn't say I wasn't on my way to the gas station, though.
I know. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Even when we're riding on fumes, God will get us to the gas station. I'm not telling anybody, though, on this podcast to let your car get that low.
Or the charging port. Phil, you have to be more like...
Oh,
not everybody has gasoline now.
Oh. Well, yeah. If you're...
Maybe you need a charge.
Yeah. If your electric car needs a charge...
Right.
Don't just be like, oh, God's going to refill the batteries because I know he loves me. Nah, you still got to put gas in your car. You still got to charge the
You
batteries.
have to plug it in.
Yeah.
You have to plug it in, right.
You still have to do that. I'm just saying it's about the journey.
Yes.
And if you're going anywhere, you're going to have to come back and tap back into that source of fulfillment to keep going.
Yes.
You're not just going to be... Oh, cool, I prayed to God and limitless energy. I'm going to just go make my spouse happy and make me happy and the whole world happy. No.
Yeah.
Not at all. Make God happy and then he'll make you fulfilled.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, we trade service for joy. That's all this is. That's all this life is. That's all marriage is. It's a trade-off. We serve for the promise of joy. And even when people don't see that promise, that's when they start getting upset and they don't feel fulfilled. But you gotta hang on. Know why you're serving. Know who you're serving. And pay attention to how you serve. If it's serving in a way that serves you and not God first, yeah, it's not gonna look the same. It's not gonna feel the same. You're going to start getting impatient because you're not doing it right. If you're trying to serve your spouse over God, you're going to have a lot of patience and understand that resentment is going to come your way because it's not focused right. Mm-hmm. Serve God. He'll fulfill your spouse. That will fulfill you, and you will have joy.
Yeah.
I promise that. Not this 2 miles till empty nonsense, babe. You are crazy.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, well. I won't do it anymore.
You don't drive to work anymore anyways.
I was just going to say, like, I hardly drive anymore, so we'll be okay.
But, anyways... It's been like an hour and a half.
Oh, wow. That's a long time. I can't see the time because I'm over at the other desk.
It's 11:30.
Wow.
No, it is later than that. Oh, my goodness.
Okay.
What does that say? It's almost midnight.
What?
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my gosh.
Whew.
Wow.
Well, I got a sense of fulfillment from this, I guess.
Oh, dear. We got to go. All right, y'all. So let's do some updates. All right. So we're going into Chapter 3 next week. This has been so cool. If you haven't gotten the book yet, please get it. It's Sacred Marriage, written by Gary Thomas. And we, as you can see, have been getting a lot out of it. It's been really, really, really revealing, really just eye-opening too. And like also just another like perspective is always valuable. So with that being said, we're meeting... this week will be our first meeting.
Yeah, this Thursday.
So on Thursday at 7:30 p.m., we are going to meet to fellowship with other married couples or anybody just aspiring to want to be married and want to get some good wisdom or questions answered, and we can just share with each other what we're going through and just help each other through this journey, because we want to see other people winning because we have Christ, and winning because we are putting God at the forefront of everything that we do. So please join us. We would love to have you. And then if you are able, please also come out to fellowship with our church, Treasures of the Heart Worship Center. And we meet at 629 North Market Street. Downtown Frederick, right in front of the fountain. There's a little parking lot too across the way, which is always nice.
It is in the Bernard Brown Community Center. If you see the community center at that address and you're like, wait a minute, this isn't the church, we're upstairs. You just gotta hit the buzzer.
Yes.
We'll let you in.
So we don't look traditional from the outside, but trust me.
Oh, we're in there.
Trust me. We're there. And 10:30 is when praise and worship starts, and we'd love to have you there. And other than that, I think that's all the announcements for now.
Yeah, tune in to Minister Williams at 9:30 on Sundays before church.
It's every other Sunday.
Every other Sunday, yeah. It was today, so not next Sunday, but the Sunday after.
Yes.
Go ahead. Tune in. Get filled up before you head on out the door and come to church. It's a great time. And yeah, that is all we have. Stay tuned. We will be updating the website on Wednesdays. Sorry it was Thursday this week, but we were going through something, and I will get better as I get better. And yeah, just please fill out the sign up form if you haven't already. Get the book, even if you don't participate with us. Get the book and let us know what it's doing for you.
Yes.
And as always, go to GaryThomas.com to find out information about that. And just want to say that we love you all.
In Jesus' name.
Bye.
Bye.